Earful Tower listeners, it's Oliver G here in Provence, and that's going to be the theme of this episode. In fact, Lena and I are going to recommend 7 things for you to do in this beautiful region of southern France. In other words, how to spend a week in Provence. But first, here's some music from Slim and the Beast.
Jump on my back, hold on tight, let's do it together, let's go for a ride, let's go for a ride.
And welcome to episode 12 of the honeymoon season. I'm sitting with my wife, Lena.
Hello, husband Oliver.
How you doing?
I'm great.
I said the other day, I was talking to some Kiwi tourists in Ménerbes, which we're going to talk about soon. And I said, they asked about what we're doing. And I said, I'm just over there with my wife. Maybe the first time I said it out loud.
Yeah, it has a good ring to it.
Do you know that the regular listeners to this show, I think, have emailed me to say that in one of the videos I referred to as my fiancé.
Oh,
You
shock,
that?
horror! I didn't even
I
notice.
said he was in Bordeaux. I said, I'm traveling around with my fiancé. So you listeners that emailed about that, you're eagle-eared. Well done.
Yeah,
Well played.
wow.
I didn't even notice.
No, me neither.
No. Anyway, what we're going to do this week is talk about Provence. And Provence, just the word Provence.
Yeah, it's got a touch of magic and
Oh,
a
yeah.
sniff of lavender
Oh, yeah, that's exactly right.
to it, right?
Yeah, my grandma would love it.
She would.
It's one of the places in France, much like Paris, that elicits a sort of, it makes you think about certain things. You say Paris, people get the idea. They're thinking Eiffel Tower, they're thinking Notre Dame, all that stuff. But you say Provence, people, ooh, Provence.
There's something dreamy
Yeah.
about the whole thing.
Rolling olive hills.
Right.
Yes, grapevines.
Yeah.
No, but a diverse landscape. I'm not just reading the wiki page.
No, we had it up.
I did
for
have
a
it up
while.
before. I did have it up to see exactly where it is. And what we've done is we spent the past week going through this sort of region of Provence, and we've been traveling so quickly that we've been to so many places.
I mean, okay, let's just get this right, because we are traveling often up hills now as we're reaching a bit more hilly landscape, and uphill for us.
15 k's an hour.
Yeah.
So we're not traveling quickly, but we are. We're moving. We're not staying anywhere for a long period of time, so it feels like we're on the move a lot. But we're not quick. No. We could have almost run faster than we were going yesterday while traveling through the hills. But hey, listen, you guys are here for some tips, I think, and to hear a little bit about the story. But what we figured this week is we give you some actual tips, because we've been to so many places, at least maybe 10, 15 places since we last spoke. So let's just catch up first. Last time we spoke to the listeners, you and I, we were in Carcassonne.
Yes.
Magnificent, charming Carcassonne.
Fortified Carcassonne.
Oh God, I could go on about forever.
Oh yes,
and
you did.
And then what we did is we left. We spent a night in a town called Béziers, which we forgot immediately. It wasn't very charming, so apologies if you love it down there. But I bet no one listening to this does.
Well, I actually know one person, and I'm sorry.
Who's that?
It's Marine.
Oh really?
Yeah, she's from there.
You're what? A friend?
My French teacher.
Oh God, I hope she doesn't listen.
I hope not.
And then we went to Montpellier, which was lovely.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how we went and watched Mission Impossible at the cinema.
Oh.
Which was excellent.
Oh, it was excellent.
Came out. Okay, we'll talk about it a little bit.
Okay,
it was
just a
set in
little bit.
Paris too, so you Paris lovers out there should watch it.
I know, and I mean, if you do kind of make an episode about it, you could maybe interview Tom Cruise.
Yes, yeah, he's high on my hit list. But what was really cool about it is we watched the movie. We came out into Montpellier at like 1 a.m. on the scooter, and the movie's full of car chases and motorbike chases. And we were in the central town, the center of the town, Place de la Comédie.
Exactly.
Empty. And we were on the scooter, and we were just whizzing through it. You know, when I went around the corners, I put my foot on the ground.
Oh, it was
you know when
very,
you do that?
very
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If
Action
the
hero.
scooter could do jumps, I was doing jumps. Anyway, so then from there we entered, we stayed a night in Nîmes with its beautiful arena.
Yeah.
And then we entered Provence. So here comes 7 places to visit, 7 things to do for 1 week in Provence.
In Provence.
Now the reason we do the 1 week in Provence is obviously because of the famous book, A Year in Provence, set in Ménerbes, where we went, but we'll talk about that later. What we'll start with is Arles.
Arles.
A-R-L-E-S.
Arles.
Imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, I'll be back, and you can pronounce it.
Oh, I was going to do an Instagram post with that caption.
I'll be back.
I'm sure we're not the first ones to think about it.
I wouldn't be surprised if we were. It's a pretty bad joke.
It is.
I'd be like. Yeah. Anyway, that's that town. I recommend you go and check. I recommend you go into the arena there, find someone with patience, great patience, and ask them to film you saying lines from Gladiator to the preferably empty arena.
Yeah, in this scenario, I was the very patience-full.
Yes.
Is that a word?
I think patient.
Patient will do. I was a very patient filmmaker, movie director, and you starred.
Yeah, I put it on Instagram. I walked out because I don't know, no one's there in October. It was totally empty. This for reference. This arena is from the year 90.
It's kind of like a Colosseum.
It's exactly.
That's what you should picture.
Built after the Colosseum in Rome. Anyway, so I went in there and I said, "Are you not entertained?" And it echoed. And you can watch that video on Instagram.
Yeah, so our very own Russell Crowe.
Yeah, who's Australian as well. Anyway, so I would tip that you go there if you go to Arles. Lena would say don't bother.
I mean, that sounds harsh, but, I really like the town. I thought it was really cute. But the arena, the outside looks impressive and it's very Colosseum-esque. But the inside, I don't know. I'm not sure because it just kind of looked like you were sitting in... It was like scaffolding.
Yeah,
but
like
permanent scaffolding. So
and the reason
it's kind of hard to picture what it would have been like, and just it didn't really do it for me. I couldn't really picture being there back in the day.
But the reason for that, for the record, is that it was knocked down so many times on the inside. People lived in there, like they built houses in there, so all the seating got taken down, and then they sort of made this sort of temporary. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, when I read that, I can kind of understand it, but still, I don't know.
Lena likes her 2,000-year-old buildings to be pristine. You always say that.
Right?
Anyway, I think it's worth a look. Lena doesn't agree, but if you're in Arles, at least look at the outside of it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then let's move on to a national park. Now, this turned out to be day 50 of our trip, unbelievably. Day 50 of the trip, we spent scooting through a national park called Camargues.
Camargues, known for their white wild horses.
Yeah, and a lot of people had emailed me when I said, where should I go in France? They said, go to Camargues. And I never really understood why. I knew they were meant to be horses. But what really surprised me, and it happened before, when we first hit the Mediterranean and we were going along the coastline, I saw some birds in the water. And I was like, they're flamingos. And I pulled over. And we've been driving so far on that day. And I found this old airfield. I said, let's go and find the flamingos. And you said, later. You said, later, Oliver.
I was like, you're losing your cool, Captain. Those are seagulls.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah, that's what I said. I lacked wonder, didn't I?
Well, yeah, you did. And I'm still got my boyish wonder about me.
Yeah.
But I also thought there's no way there's flamingos until we went to the Camargues and saw there are actually flamingos all over the place.
Unmistakably. But my tip would be for Camargues would actually be to bring, what do you call it, binoculars?
Yep.
Binoculars? Yeah, because you will see all these amazing birds and animals overall, but they kind of far away sometimes, so it'd be cool to see them a bit more up close.
And we didn't have binoculars.
We didn't.
No.
We tried to zoom on our phones and it just didn't really
work. But you could, it was a really different experience for France because to paint a bit of a picture, it looked more like, I don't know, like Serengeti or something like that. Like it was big, empty plains. But weirdly, there was also rice fields. There was, it was sort of a mix of everything.
It was a mix, yeah.
And the roads were really quite poor. It wasn't...
Yeah, it's kind of like dirt roads.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was very cool.
And I don't know, people don't typically talk about it. So if you find yourself in Provence, that's the second thing you should do. Spend a day driving quite slowly through there.
And try to find a cowboy. We didn't actually find a cowboy.
Yeah, it was another one of the... Like we said, we're moving quickly, so we didn't really hang around in there too long. But we went from one side to the other, and can recommend it.
Yeah.
And we came out, we stayed in a little town nearby, and then the next day, we ended up in a town you might have heard of called Marseille. Which I'd never been to. You'd never been to.
No.
Heard a lot about it.
Absolutely.
A lot of people say it's the crime capital of France. It has a pretty bad reputation.
It does have a bad rep.
But I loved it.
It was very nice.
It was...
Yeah.
Hey, look, spoiler alert, guys. Don't kill me, but we're not going to go to anywhere else on the Riviera. We're going to sort of start heading northwards, including Nice, Cannes.
I know. They
Saint-Tropez.
didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut. That's for another episode, but we have to make haste because it's basically getting too cold to be down here. But anyway, Marseille. Seemingly it's a big popular tourist attraction. We won't really talk about for too long.
No.
Other than to offer up a tip, mine would be to go to the cathedral at the very top. You cannot miss it if you're down there. And I know every city in France seems to have a cathedral, but this one is not just spectacular on the inside and outside, but the view is absolutely incredible.
It is intense. It's like a 360 view over all of Marseille, and you can see all the landmarks. You can see the horizon, the sea.
It's like the Alps
the
behind you and the Mediterranean.
It's breathtaking, actually.
And
it really
like,
is.
It's just, I don't know, it's just one of those wonderful things where, when I was up there, I was comparing it a bit to the Sacré-Cœur in Paris, because that's also up on a hill, looking over the city. Nothing like that. It feels like it's about 10 times higher. I mean, just getting down from the top on the scooter was frightening because it was so steep.
It was so steep. And also, there weren't so many people.
No.
Not as many tourists. I mean, that could maybe be because it's October.
Yeah, it's so warm. I was swimming. There's beaches just on the edge of town. It was amazing. And packed beaches. People sunbathing. Amazing.
Yeah, but all in all, for Marseille, I would say I tried to come up with this little catchphrase, my own little catchphrase for Marseille, and it's kind of like it went something along the lines of a city smelling of soap despite needing a wash.
That is what you said.
That's my catchphrase for Marseille.
Why does it smell like soap?
Because they have a lot of soap manufacturing. So you get all these savons de Marseille, all these lavender smelling, they're beautiful, handmade soaps.
But like dirty in general, you mean?
It just kind of feels
it was a bit gritty.
A little bit, but cool.
It was definitely
cool. And I definitely want to go back.
It's added to the list, and I think I should write this up properly, but the list of places we should go back to.
Yeah.
The places that deserve a second look.
Yeah, the top list.
Let's face it, on this trip, 50 days, and we've been to, I don't know how many places, we were never going to see everything anywhere.
No.
We could do a list of the places we missed, let alone the places that we should revisit. Anyway, Marseille, that's, there's plenty of material there for anybody to look into it if they want to go. We thought it was quite nice, but let's get on with it. After Marseille, we went to a town called Aix-en-Provence.
Oh, this one I like.
Well, this is an interesting town because my dad, who went there about 40 years ago, said it used to be like the dump of France.
Yeah, he said that.
I think he used a different word than dump as well.
Yeah,
that I couldn't say on that. But I'd never been there. I always associate it with sort of beautiful lavendery Provence kind of stuff.
I didn't know what to expect. I actually thought Aix-en-Provence was like a whole region. I didn't really understand that it was a city.
It was just one of those mystical things for you.
Yeah, and also it was just absolutely beautiful. It was so special. I thought
I came up with a name for it as well.
Oh,
a tagline. It's called X. So if you never heard of it before, X is spelled AIX, and a lot of people refer to it just as X. But my name for that town was X marks the spot. I'll dig here. Because it seemed to be
you're referring
the whole
to all
town.
the construction.
The whole town is under construction. If you want to buy property in France, I should ask Adrian Leeds about this. But do it in Aix-en-Provence because it feels like they're redoing the whole place.
It is hoppin' and boppin'.
Oh, that place is bougin'.
Bougin'.
That's my new French word. You want to learn a French? People come here to learn French, maybe.
French word a day.
Ça bouge means that is moving and shaking. And people say it all the time. And I say it every time we go to quiet towns.
It's like, this is bouging.
Yeah, this place is bouging and they love it. But Aix-en-Provence, really nice. There's the old town. Go to the old town and take a wander around really tiny, winding streets.
Absolutely.
Really easy to get lost.
And my new colleague, Devyani, she told me she used to live in Aix-en-Provence, and she told me that it is the city with most fountains per capita. Okay, that's not what she said.
In Europe it's more fountains, per street or something like that.
Yeah, it's
the highest fountain count.
Fountain dense.
That's one of those. I'm sorry, Devyani, but that's one of those facts. Every single city in Europe has some stupid fact about it.
I know, but I love it.
Like,
it's so good.
There's more pizzerias per capita here. Okay, no, I'm not impressed by that one.
Okay,
but it was,
they had a lot of fountains.
There's a lot going on in that place.
Yeah,
down the main walkway, they're beautiful.
There are several piazzas. It's not called piazzas. What do you call it? Squares.
Yeah.
There are so many squares that seem to be like it should be the city square, but there are like 10 of them, and they all have a beautiful little fountain each. And it's just great.
And that main walkway, I think it's called the Cours Mirabeau, I think it was called, also under construction. The edges of it under construction.
Absolutely
so,
everything. Everywhere
unless you've
you
got
turn.
a scooter, like if you were driving a car in there, it'd be really hard to find a car park.
Yeah.
But all these tips and all the places we mentioned will be in the show notes and on the earfultower.com. But let's get on with it. Let's go to... We got 3 more tips left.
We didn't even give a tip.
I think we gave a few, didn't we? Did you have a tip?
Yes, I do have a tip, actually. That's why I'm bringing it up.
see.
So it's the one I had a tip for.
Okay.
So my tip is to try an Aixoise.
What's an Aixoise?
Which is a kind of a bakery treat from a very famous bakery or patisserie called Weibel. Weibel. It sounds...
Weibel or something like that.
Exactly, something like that. Yeah. It's delicious.
Yes, we did.
It's like a fluffy cloud of sweetness.
Wow. They're not sponsoring us. You mean that?
I do mean that. And I had
nice.
a whole thing
And
by
across,
myself.
and there was a nice cafe that we went to as well. Do you remember the name?
Le Brûlerie.
Yes, La Brûlerie. That was a really good place. Really like steaming hot place where they were making the coffee right in the middle of the cafe. And we
Yeah.
happened to be there in the middle of the Saturday markets.
That was bouging.
Speaking of markets, that's a nice segue into the next place that we've got here, which is, let me say it right, L'Île-sur-la-Sorgue. Unpronounceable.
It is.
Too many words.
I know.
L'Île-sur-la-Sorgue. Okay.
Sorgue.
Tiny little town with an apparently world famous antique market on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, it was very
And
picturesque.
as it happened, we were there on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, can you
So-
imagine?
And do you want to know how many antiques we bought to take back on the scooter?
Well, I just had one antique back on the scooter with me.
What is that, me?
Yes.
What, me?
Yes, an
Oh,
on-air
gosh.
disc.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, what did you think of the marketplace?
I really liked it. Yeah, it was good.
So to give you guys a picture of this town, which I think maybe you'll have heard of if you're a fan of Provence, it's got it looks like a stream, like I assume it's a river. It's the Sorgue.
It's a Sorgue.
Yeah, which runs right through the middle of it in a really nice, charming way, but a very small, pretty little village. And on Sunday morning until Sunday lunchtime, they have markets all the way along it. And so it's not food markets. They're selling clothes. They're selling everything. Anything you
Absolutely
want.
everything.
Scarves.
Silverware. Okay, so one thing I saw actually at this market, we were hurrying to lunch, so I couldn't stop properly. But in the corner of my eye, I saw this beautiful vintage olive green Yves Saint Laurent trench coat, and oh my, I will be thinking about this one.
How much was it?
The one that got away. It was 50 euros. Can you imagine?
Oh, my mum will be listening, and she'll be upset at both
I know.
of us.
This is painful.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That was a nice jacket, a nice market, but as regular listeners know, you've already bought one leather massive jacket on this trip.
I know, and it's way too big.
You
I don't
doubled-
know what
you-
yeah.
You doubled the amount of clothes we have on this
I
on
know,
this trip.
and this one would be so much better buy.
But get yourself a bargain, head down there. Also a shout out to Alana, who we met and who said she's going to start listening
New
to the podcast.
listener.
Let's see, if you're listening, here's a shout out.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. And hello to all you other new listeners who are joining this late. If you're wondering
Maybe
what
you're
you're
also
listening
called
to,
Alana.
if you and thinking, I didn't have lunch with these guys. If you are listening to this show for the first time and you've listened this far in and you've got no idea what's going on, I think it's only fair that we give you a little heads up what we're talking about. We're doing, Lena and I, recently married, are doing a big love heart shaped tour around France on a little scooter with a top speed of 45 kilometers an hour. And we've already done, I think, 3,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Today, I think, even. I forgot to check, but I'm almost certain.
Big day then. We need to celebrate.
Yeah. By doing a podcast episode.
Yay!
And the big news, even if you're a regular listener, is that we've realised that we're getting home soon. We have to.
Yeah,
so
we're
within
heading
2 weeks.
homewards.
I think so. There'll only be 1 or 2 more episodes on the road. 2.
Like action episodes.
Yeah. And then I think I'll keep going with some of the stories that we've got saved up for a little while before I get back into it. But anyway, I'm back on track. So L'Île-sur-la-Sorgue was fantastic.
It was.
Visit it on a Sunday if you want to do some market.
Sunday before lunch. That's when you should hit it.
And look out for that Yves Saint Laurent jacket.
Oh, it's still there, guys. It's still there.
So another thing, we got 2 more places to recommend that we've done in this beautiful Provençal region. And one is, we'll do Ménerbes. So a few of you guys might know that I'm doing this book club trial, seeing if it works and seeing how it goes. 100 people in the club.
That is not bad.
And we're reading A Year in Provence. So it's kind of, people say it was like the first fish out of water travel thing in France that got started for all the other people, written about 30 years ago, where he detailed his life in a village called Ménerbes, which is exactly where we went.
Exactly.
And I think this village and what we found there deserves a whole episode in itself because it really is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
And I've got some audio from interviewing some people. Oh, you know what else I've got audio from? You know, someone asked me, a slight side note here, I got sidetracked, but someone emailed me and said, oh, you keep talking about the funny accent down in southern France, right? And then and they said, can you get some audio of it? And I did. I'm going to play it in a second. In fact, I'll play it right now. I'll set the scene. We were in Carcassonne and you and I were talking in a cafe about how instead of pronouncing words like demain for tomorrow or matin for morning, they say, instead of demain matin, they say demain matin, like that.
I know, it's
and
so
we were
funny.
having a good laugh and maybe exaggerating it. But it's true. That's how they talk. And,
It's totally true.
and when we were sitting there having a coffee, I saw some police officers in Carcassonne who were just standing around sort of patrolling. And I said, I'm going to go and record them, you know, and maybe they'll help. And one of the police women agreed to be sort of, I was going to say ridiculed. It's not ridiculed. It's
no, not at all.
Not ridiculed at all. She agreed to be...
Participate in
to
this
show her
experiment.
accent, yeah.
Yes.
And so I said to her, can you just say this sentence after me? Tomorrow morning, I'm going to buy a baguette. And she said, well, we wouldn't buy a baguette. No. I said, tomorrow morning, I'm going to buy a pain au chocolat. Right? Which in French would be demain matin, je vais acheter un pain au chocolat. And she says, no. In the southwest of France, correctly, she says, we don't call them pain au chocolats, we call them chocolatine.
You're like, yeah, okay, lady, but that's not the point.
It kind of was. It made it even more southwestern France.
Yeah,
So what you're about to hear, I can't remember because I'm going to have to put this in later, but she said, demain matin, je vais acheter une chocolatine, c'est pas un pain au chocolat. And here's how she said it.
Demain matin, je vais acheter une chocolatine parce qu'ici, il n'y a pas de pain au chocolat.
Yeah, so that was nice of her.
That's a good one.
But there you go. That's a demain matin. It's a little bit of
yeah.
a... Anyway, well, that was a sidetrack. Ménerbes.
Ménerbes.
So, yeah, really interesting village. Worth visiting. It's one... What I thought from the book, my first takeaway was that the village was way more beautiful and picturesque than he described it. I think he undersold it.
I don't think... Yeah, I didn't get that at all, that vibe
I
from
guess because
him.
he lived outside of the village that's sort of perched on a hilltop.
And also, maybe he was like, kind of, you know, subconsciously didn't want to sell it too hard because he wanted to keep it
everybody went
totally
there
backfired.
for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was really cool. I talked to a woman that worked in a cafe and I interviewed her a little bit about how things have changed there. And we talked to loads. I mean, I'll do a full episode on it. But if you're in the region, go to Ménerbes and have a look.
Yeah, and have a coffee. Just have a little coffee at the Tabac.
Which is mentioned in the book too.
Which is mentioned.
Progrès, I think it's Café de Progrès.
And also just make sure you go and sit outside because the view is everything.
And
Absolutely everything.
Like it's literally, I think it's called the Beau Village de France, like the most beautiful villages. Forget about here in Provence. It's worth a visit just to look at the view. And nearby Bonnieux was really nice too.
It's kind of did we mention what it looks like? It's kind of perched on a hilltop, overlooking the valley on two sides. Two valleys, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
And just stunning.
Yeah, it's the kind of place that
stone paved streets.
If you're an Instagram model,
incredible.
You could find a lot of settings to
you don't have to be a model.
Yeah, but if you were a model.
Oh yeah.
If you're not a model, you could take the same pictures. You just won't look as good in them, probably.
Oh yeah, I guess. It's all down to taste.
Yeah. Anyway, really beautiful place. Which brings us to our last tip, seventh tip, which is a town you may have heard of called Avignon, where we were today. Now, there's a reason Elena is singing so beautifully.
Thank you.
And that is because...
calling me Lena.
The town was sort of put on the map for a lot of people because of a song called Sous le Pont d'Avignon, which is... there's a bit of interesting history to this that we learned today because we did the little tour on the bridge. It's a bridge, and Patreon, I'm not going to go on about Patreon, but people who are subscribed will have seen a live video of us on that bridge today.
You got
I think I was dancing.
First bit on that one.
I think I was breakdancing on the Pont d'Avignon, and that's why my wrist is
sore. I
sore.
think maybe you stretched your back muscle and didn't dance, but yeah.
Anyway, the Pont d'Avignon. So why the city is beautiful. You can look up and go and visit that if you want. But we're going to talk specifically about this bridge, which, spoiler alert, isn't a bridge.
Yeah, I also had no idea about that. I've been very ignorant in my life about bridges.
Yeah, it's a half bridge.
And Provence.
Yeah, and Aix-en-Provence.
I've been very Provence ignorant.
And flamingos and whether they even exist.
No.
Didn't you say to me, Oliver, it's not a flamingo. Flamingos are fictional characters. They don't really exist. They're like unicorns. No, anyway. So it's a half bridge. Long story short, it got washed away and so on. But the song that you may have heard of, Sous le Pont d'Avignon.
Oh, it lives.
So that song, get this, was written, it's a 15th century song, right? And was written. So when you go and do the tour, they give you a little audio guide, and it's a typical thing. You go to point 1 and it tells you about whatever. Anyway, what you can also do is go to point 81, 82, 83, and they play
and
all
that's
the different,
where the gold is.
They play all the different versions of this famous song, which I think
God.
I'll play some of it right now. So I play that because I'm sure we're not going to get sued because it's a 15th century song. But when it was originally written, it was called did you read it? It's called a pillow song.
Yes.
That in Normandy they used to sing to newlywed couples. And so it's very relevant for honeymoon season, I thought.
Yeah.
And it sounded way different.
Yeah, it was more monkey.
Monkey, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a bit different. It changed gradually over the years until I think it was the 18th, 19th century. It became the one that we know today. And when you're out there as a tourist, you'll see a lot of people dancing on the bridge, taking little pictures.
Mainly us.
Yeah, mainly us.
Us.
But there were a few other people that were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Especially how you can hear the music when you're
it's nice.
But 2 facts you probably didn't know that I made a little video about that I'll share at some point. One, it's not actually called the Pont d'Avignon. It's called the Pont de Saint-Benezet, which is the real name, right? Named after the saint that was building it or whatever. It's just got to be known from that song as the Pont d'Avignon.
Yeah,
Secondly,
the song became bigger.
The song Sous le Pont d'Avignon, on the bridge of Avignon, we're dancing. It originally was under the bridge. The song was under the bridge.
Which I don't understand, because that's water.
And it's not
Everyone
a bridge.
knows that there's water under a bridge. How does that work?
I don't know.
Obviously that didn't catch on.
So yeah, not really a bridge. Used to be dancing under it, and it's not called the Pont d'Avignon. So everything you knew about the Pont d'Avignon was wrong.
There's a lot of fake news going on here.
A lot of fake news. But what you do need to know is it's worth a visit, and it only costs €5. Go there, get the audio guide, and walk along the bridge. The town or the city of Avignon is definitely worth a visit to see everything else. But let's be honest, you're going there for the bridge. Okay, so that was episode 12 of the Earful Tower honeymoon season, which has 2 more episodes left before we're back in Paris. Like I said, we're going to continue on with some episodes when we're in there. But I figured we'd end this with... That sounded a bit dramatic, didn't it?
Yeah.
I figured we'd end this episode with a couple of... I used to read reviews. Well, now I'm going to read some emails that I've got in this week.
Ooh, that's exciting.
2 really nice emails. One about the honeymoon, one that was just kind of funny. So listen to this one. Dear Oliver and Lena, thank you very much for your fantastic podcast. My partner, Julia, and myself are organic strawberry farmers on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. It's our busy, crazy busy time, and we listen to your honeymoon season while we pack strawberries. It helps us get through the day.
I love that email. Yeah. That email made my day.
There was more to it, but it's not really.
And also, I love the attention to detail. They're organic strawberry farmers.
Yeah. So,
obviously. It's just great. I love it so much.
One of my favorite things that I said from the very beginning is when I get emails from people that listen to the show, I love knowing what you're doing when you're listening.
Yes, so cool.
Because for me, I know that this is the 12th biggest travel podcast in the Ukraine now.
I mean, that is really saying
something. The podcast
something.
has become a big deal, right? And I know people listen to it, but I never really know. It's very one-sided. You guys know what's going on with the honeymoon. I got no idea what anyone out there is doing.
Yeah.
So when you email, I love to hear. I love hearing. I remember someone that was mowing the lawn in Texas when they listened to it, or doing a road trip in Canada. It's always my favorite part of an email.
It's just so good.
So thanks for that, David and Julia. And next time I'm in the Sunshine Coast, I'll be looking out for your strawberries.
Absolutely.
Another email I got that I thought was kind of fun, worth a read, from Cassie O'Connor. She says, Bonjour, hope you're having a lovely honeymoon. I love all the videos you've been posting. Get this though. Today, I was walking on Rue Mouffetard, so it's in Paris, the old Hemingway Street, and I saw the little dog that was on the walk tour of Rue Mouffetard. I informed them that their petite chien is now famous. They remembered you in April.
No way.
I didn't even remember the dog at first.
Wow.
So this is, for anyone who's not...
Now that is attention to detail.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if anyone doesn't know what that's all about, is I do these walk shows where... I mean, there might be new listeners, so I'll just explain.
Absolutely, go for it.
So I do these walk shows where often in Paris, they're usually in Paris, and I get the guests. In this case, it was April Pet, the tour guide, and we walked down Rue Mouffetard, and she was explaining everything that needed to be seen and what everything meant, and we do it all live on the video. And every time I come across a dog, I tend to show the dog, and sometimes I even talk to the dog or the owners, and that's what happened in this case. And now Cassie's gone down the same street and found the same dog.
Wow.
That's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
So
that dog must be a local.
I think so. Or it was just an absolute chance.
Or a ghost.
Well, who knows? Or a flamingo. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for all your emails, tips, reviews. Apologies that we didn't make it to Cassie. That's, I think, the most commonly occurring suggestion we got was for Cassie.
And even my dad said, oh, you have to go to Cassie because me and your mum went there on our honeymoon.
You know, we didn't go to Cassie, but I just realized that the last email I read was from Cassie. So in a way, Cassie was involved in the show.
Yeah,
but
I like how this is going. We could then we can be like, yeah, we went to Texas.
Yeah, yeah.
Where is this gonna end?
Anyway, we didn't go to most of the Riviera because, like we said, it's getting too cold and we have to head north, otherwise we'll freeze on the scooter. I think we've got about 2 weeks left of the trip. As we get closer, we'll plan a grand return ceremony on the Champs-Elysees if you want to come and cheer us in.
Yeah, pour some champagne on us or whatever you do.
Yeah, what do they do in the Tour de France? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But we're going to do the exact equivalent.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you'll hear from us again on Monday.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, in summary, if you ever do make it to Provence, those things, everything we said from the bottom of the heart, honest recommendations, you should go and say all that kind of stuff. But there's also a whole lot more.
There's
the
so much
region
more.
Is enormous.
Like the city of Gordes.
Oh, God.
Like Gordes.
Yes.
It looks stunning. We didn't actually go into the city, but we drove past it on another mountain next to this place. And it just looks so stunning. It looks like something taken from Lord of the Rings.
I knew you'd say Lord of the Rings.
But it was like an elfish village.
Yeah. If anyone wants to, if you
want
to get a
basking
picture,
in the sunlight.
You could. I put up a picture of you on the scooter right in front of it, right before we started recording this eepisode. So if you want to see what Lena's talking about, and that didn't even make the top 7 cut.
You don't have to look at me. You don't have to.
Look at the background.
Yeah, look at the background.
But also, just like you said, there's so many different landscapes. So we're driving through the mountains just to get to where we're staying right now.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Maria, by the way.
Absolutely.
Who's kindly let us stay in her place in Provence.
It's lovely.
Another
you.
very kind listener. So, Maria, thank you so much for your hospitality. And as for the rest of you, we will talk to you on Monday.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for listening.
Cheerio.
Cheerio.